the Syndicate, and today we are having a phone interview with our good buddy Kelly Wilson. Kelly, say hi.
How you doing?
Now, Kelly was the bass player for some of the best bands in the area, like Payload and more recently Worlds Divide. Also doing incredible backup vocals. Not too long ago, Worlds Divide did release their full-length CD. Kelly, tell me about the recording process for that.
Oh, well, it was kind of a lot longer than we really anticipated it was going to be. I'm sure anybody who's been in the studio kind of knows how that goes. But really Dave and Jimmy spent a lot of time, just going over the material and, not just accepting the first, couple of riffs that came out, but really, kind of, just examining everything during the writing process and, allowed us to really have some solid scratch tracks. And, at the time, we didn't really have a drummer. The guy that we were playing with live when we were out gigging is not the guy that was on the album. We actually hired Kevin Talley to come in and provided him with those scratch tracks that Jimmy and Dave came up with. And, man, he just knocked it out of the park. Just an incredible drummer. And from there, it was really kind of the groundwork was laid. We just went in and tracked our individual parts and took our time to find a singer. And eventually we came across Alec Cusack and completed the album with him.
And you also released a music video. What was that like?
It was totally awesome. Working with that crew, they were really professional. D and his guys, and his whole crew. He had a couple of ladies there helping out as well. The makeup lady, and then his assistant and all that. And they were just professional from beginning to end. Everybody, obviously knew what they were doing, and shot a really pro level video for us. It was fun too because we shot it at this machine shop over in St. Pete, and it had this 15 foot tall platform. It was made out of concrete. It had a bunch of equipment on it. So we put all our amps up there on a crane. We got a crane up to put all our stuff up there, and that's where that was shot. It's when you see the video of us jumping around, we're actually 15 feet up in the air towards the rafters of this dirty old metal machine shop. It was pretty awesome.
So be honest, were you nervous at all on that?
No,
because I know I'd be like,
yeah, we weren't close to the edge or anything like that. I think Alex may have fucked around and and gone over there a couple of times or whatever. But for the most part, there are a couple of shots in the video where if you look real close, you'll see the camera pans down for a second, and you actually see that how high we're standing up. But you really have to be looking for it, which is kind of the neatest thing about that video is when you watch it, you can watch it 5 times and catch something different each time you watch it. There's a lot in it. There's a lot going on. We kind of wanted it to be that way because it's almost like there's so much going on. You're almost forced to kind of listen to the music as something to latch on to stabilize yourself through the images that are just constantly flashing. So we thought it was a good blend, and these guys just really it was a good experience working with them for sure.
Yeah, I think that's really cool to be able to get a video out because of the fact that how tightly I think that people have a tendency to separate music and art, and that's not fair because it is, and the ability to be able to combine those is great. We had a similar thing a long time ago when Phil shot a video for that they ended up turning into one of the Broken Machine videos where he was on top of a 15-foot thing, and then he jumped off it right on my balls. In his new rocks. But the screams, because he was a zombie, the screams I made, they were genuine. It really showed. It came through. And somebody got hit with a car twice. That was pretty awesome too.
That was fun though.
Yeah, you enjoyed that a little too much.
I won't lie. It was.
Yeah.
But
we had to do it twice, you know.
In your video,
is the funniest thing that has ever happened ever.
In your video, I noticed that you had your old singer as in the music video as well, who's now in Screaming in the Silence, Mike.
Yes, absolutely.
So there definitely has never ever been an issue of like bad blood or anything there. That's awesome.
Oh, great! Now that's stuck in my head.
Not from where we're coming from. You know, I mean, everybody's got to make their own decisions, of course, on how things are going to go down after a band splits. It is what it is. You know, it's not always easy, and there's a lot of hard work that goes into it, and there's a lot of emotion that gets charged into it because of that. So. But, Mike is a great guy. Certainly there were never any hard feelings from him whatsoever. Screaming at the Silence was his band prior to Worlds Divide anyway. So for him, it was really just kind of him going home. And, we understood that and, still have a great working relationship. At least we did when we were up and working. Jimmy still works with him. They did their album over with him.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to it. I'm sure those guys knocked it out of the park. Guys and Curl, they are absolutely fantastic. One of my favorite local bands in the area, for sure.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Well, I think that being able to stay friends like that is a really cool thing, because all of us have been through, I've been through a band breakup and stuff like that, and we've gotten both sides. I used to play in Alpha, and I still to this day play with three of the members that I started playing music with in the first place. And actually, Phil was one of the people that the first real band that I was in. We were in a band together too, and and then for quite a while, our two bands got along just fabulous, and then I fuck all that up there.
No one's pointing fingers.
Everyone was pointing fingers. It wasn't their pointer finger, but but nonetheless, through all that time, Phil was always there, and and then as we went through our split in the band and everything, everybody that was involved. Everyone that was involved with the last incarnation, we all stayed tight and everything, and but we've been through those bad breakups too, and that's that's always it's tough because of the fact that they're people that you really care about, but things just get so emotionally charged sometimes, especially whenever you're trying to do something that you're passionate about. But I think that it gets ugly whenever it shifts from passion to ego. And stuff like that.
Ego is definitely the downfall of a lot of local guys, and I certainly would never name names, but it kind of blows my mind a little bit. It's like at the end of the day, everybody gets up and puts on their pants, one leg at a time, and goes out and has to work. There are people in the music, especially in metal, who when they cut back from tour, man, they're going to work.
Yeah.
They have normal regular jobs. I mean, it's not like you're living the Kanye West, Kim Kardashian lifestyle. It's fucking metal, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, and especially with the way that the music industry is now, And, things like Mayhem Festival ending and that dude coming out and saying that metal's dead, and it's truly not. Metal festivals all over the world are doing incredible. Mm-hmm. They just started running a bad business model type of thing. And then with the way the music industry is, that now you kind of have to take it into your own hands. And, make your own way, whether it's through Patreon or going through Bandcamp or just finding somebody to get a distribution deal or something like that. You really...
Well, distribution, I mean, if you really think about it, what is that really truly getting for you? I mean, other than exposure to people who can get you on tour, which is where you're going to make your money on that level anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, quite frank, you know, with Worlds Divide, we weren't even really worried about any kind of a deal with anybody unless it was something that was going to absolutely make us money and get us connected, you know, into a larger tour circuit.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw an interview one time with Phil from All That Remains, and this was just after Overcome came out.
I don't know why, but instead of album, haircut was the thing that came to mind where he's like, it was right before he cut his hair. I don't know what that has to do with anything. Anyways.
But when he came out in this interview, he's talking about he still lives at home with his mom. And when he is done with his tour, he goes right back to his job.
Yeah. Fucking Dave Brocky was a house painter, man. You know, like, it's a labor of love. And, you know, I personally kind of like the way things are going now. It's just though I find it very scary. Like, I really like, and I mentioned this on, you know, these videos before, I really like Amanda Palmer as a person and as a musician. And the book that she put out recently was called The Art of Asking. And the big thing there was like, don't be afraid to put yourself out there if you're doing something, and you know, if you're doing an art, and ask, because of the fact that you are doing something for someone. You are making a connection with people. You are making an effect. It is a thing that people do find valuable. And if you put yourself out there, like in a Bandcamp sense or Patreon, or you just pass the fucking hat around at a show, the people that enjoy that will support you. But that's terrifying, especially for metal guys, because we're like, goddamn metal guy, I don't need nothing. And but the industry's changing that way. Like, there's people are gonna have to find a new way, and you know, that's really all you need is find a way to.
That's what's going on. I mean,
yeah, find a way to distribute your music. You know, and that's what you need.
You know, that's the bottom line. That it all comes down to. It isn't like it was in the 70s and 80s or whatever, even in the 90s. I mean, it just isn't. And people don't go to the record store anymore. There is no record store anymore.
Yeah.
You buy the and I'm guilty of it. I just bought Megadeth's new album on iTunes. I didn't even buy a physical copy.
Yeah, well, even worse than that. And I say this while, you know, my girlfriend's a subscriber of is Spotify. And it's something we brought up before because of the fact that Spotify is an amazing service. You can find stuff on there that you're like, I am amazed that I found that, and it's an awesome service. The problem is it wasn't put together by the artists, and because of that, their labels still get half a cut, like half cut before anything else. Before Spotify takes their chunk and everything, they take half. And they didn't sell anything. They didn't make a CD. They didn't have. There's no printing cost. It's an MP3. And so, I was listening to the Josta podcast and him talking about how they had, it was either 30 or 80 million downloads, or not downloads, but listens, and he got a check for like $80.
Yeah, the percentages are ridiculous. I mean, it truly is ridiculous.
You know, and that is the thing.
It's possible to do it for a living. I mean, unless you're playing arenas on a steady basis. Yeah. If you're playing metal, you're going to be a broke motherfucker.
You definitely are. You know, it really is a labor of love, and I mean, there are some big bands that have been doing some stuff that has been really cool. You know, like Metallica. You know, over the last 10, 15 years.
Yeah, but you're talking about a band that started in the 80s when.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about who they're taking out now.
Right.
And they're taking out bands that they wouldn't take out 15 years ago. You know, they're taking out, you know, like Volbeat was nobody till they took him out. And, you know, going out and and they did that thing in Europe where they had I think it was Sodom. They put Sodom above Five Finger Death Punch. They're like, no, they've been around longer, they've earned it. Even though Five Finger Death Punch has a draw of like all the people, I guess. I don't know, but like, you know,
you wear an Affliction shirt, then you're a Five Finger Death Punch fan.
Exactly. Is that tap out? All right, you're in.
You're in.
You know, but and you know, I think that was part of the problem with Mayhem too, though, is the fact that then you have a bunch of bands that are like medium size, and they didn't have that one big draw. You need that one big draw. But you know, for us, we have no care or worry about that sort of thing right now. You know, like we are just getting started, and you know, as we're hoping to, you know, start our shows in the spring, it comes back to the whole local scene thing and what that is, and that's a whole nother thing, because of the fact that you go back 10 years ago and it was a completely different scene. You know, like there were places to play.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Yeah.
Which that kind of came in handy, you know. And there's some places now, you know, like 662, and there's a few places, but like, man, a lot of places closed. And
Kelly, what was your favorite place that is no more when you were probably more Payload days?
So I'm going to go way back here because Phil knows all about this shit. The original Gasoline Alley. Do you remember that place?
US 19.
Yes.
So Gasoline Alley was originally on Route 19, and that was actually Phil was one of the that was the night I met you, actually, the very first show at Gasoline Alley, and we were playing with Asylum and Asylum 414.
Mm-hmm.
That was way old school. I used to love that place because they actually paid you a decent amount. You had decent food there, and there was always usually a really good crowd, and you know the sound was good. And you know, I mean, if you played one club, you kind of played them all. They're all kind of dingy, smoky, shit-filled bits of doom. But you know, it was still one of those that just, for whatever reason, I always liked that, and the Boiler was.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah. You know, I gotta tell you, when you
that
mentioned...
was just a bigger version of a bigger shithole, but man, it was fun to play there. They had a hot-ass stage, though, man. We were getting boiled under them lights.
The one thing I didn't like when they remade Gasoline Alley on 66th Street is I hated the fact that they made the stage out of tile.
Yeah.
That made no sense. Because, I mean...
that was pretty stupid.
Yeah, it was, because it was the same thing, because you ended up getting the same effect as acoustically as you did when you played Masquerade or the Ritz when it was empty.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like if you didn't pack that place, it sounded horrible.
Yep.
Right.
You know, especially, we were just talking about this, there, you know, that line on the stage where if you step past this line, you have now moved forward or backward in time by a half second. You know, and you know, like if you're singing or you're playing, you walk, and you're like, oh, where am I? Step back. Okay, all right, there it is. But
well, because you've moved past the monitors, from the monitors giving you the direct sound to where now you're playing, and your only way of listening is the house speakers that are having to reverb back to you.
Yeah, which you know, and when you say Gasoline Alley, the original Gasoline Alley, that place was always, to me, that place was an anomaly because it was nice.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, seriously,
I mean,
like,
you could sit down and have a nice dinner and,
Yeah.
and watch a band, and
yeah, you know, and everyone was nice, you know, like in comparison to some of the other places where you're like, where's the toilet seats?
Like the original Brass Mug.
Yeah,
No, one of the weirdest memories I have of playing
terrifying.
Gasoline Alley is that a Broken Machine ended up playing there with Sister Kill Cycle. And Sister Kill Cycle got mad that they wouldn't get paid a certain amount. And they ripped the sink out of the bathroom.
Which is how you make friends in the music industry.
Oh, yeah.
And
as you can tell from that thing that just happened that makes you super angry.
A thing that does make me very, very angry. But I think it's crazy how musicians in general have that I'm a rock star, I can destroy this place mentality at a local band level.
Yeah, you know.
I mean, frankly, I'm not impressed with it on any level, you know, but there are some people who it's like, all right, man, you really are, like if Ozzy were walking around right now, you gotta believe I'd be all, you know, giddy, you know, like, holy shit, man, there's Ozzy, you know, but that's Ozzy fucking Osbourne, man.
Yeah.
I mean, the god of fucking metal, man, you know, I mean, you know, if you're acting like that, you know, and I think actually, from what I've seen of Ozzy, he actually doesn't even act like that. So, you know, when I see somebody from a local, you kind of just, it's like, man, come on. You know, really, dude, you really feel like that's necessary.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna name any names, but I went and saw a band, Sister Kill Cycle again, and I was neighbors with Raven Chain, whose real name is Sean, and completely different person outside of playing a live show. Like, I remember I went to go see him. He asked me to go visit him at the Boiler Room one night. Drove over there. Looked around for him because he was like, come hang out with me. We'll have a good time. And I'm like, anybody seen him? And they're like, oh, he's in his tour bus. And I'm like, he has a tour bus? So I go outside and there's an RV that's parked in the parking lot. And I go in and he's like, just in this mindset, and he's like, I gotta keep the mystery alive. I can't allow myself to be seen with the crowd. So if you want to hang out, you gotta hang out with me in here.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, what an incredible douche.
Yeah. And at the same time,
and then the next day though, I'm at home playing video games, and he comes over and he's like, hey man, I made some fucking barbecue chicken. You should come on over. We're having a barbecue. Woo!
Yeah.
If I want to keep the mystery alive, I can't be seen around this chicken.
And at the same time, you get like, whenever you played with Gotham Road with Michael Graves, you know, he's there. Same thing. His RV was terrifying. His pants are duct taped together because he can't buy pants. You know, like, and he was the nicest freaking guy. Like, he talked to everyone, and
yeah, he ended up wearing our band shirt on stage, and that was
awesome.
Yeah,
he was, you know, super cool guy. And that's the thing, because what it comes down to is it means that being in a band and, you know, performing well, it means that you're good at something. And most people are. Yeah. And most people are going to make a lot more money for it than you. You just should have, because of the suffering in that financial area or, you know, stability area, you get to have more fun doing that thing. But all the rest is even more work.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's that labor of love type of thing where, like, everybody's a small fish in a giant fucking ocean. And but I love seeing the bands that actually that do put it out on stage, you know, because the fact that a little bit of ego is a good thing. Like, you know, going out there and just being like, we're going to tear this place apart and having a great show and everything. Nothing compares to that feeling. Nothing compares to that feeling of a good show.
The difference between, to me, that's the difference between confidence and arrogance.
Yeah.
You know, you go out as you know, a confident person in your art and your performance, and you know you've worked hard, you put the time in, and you know that there's you're always putting yourself out there. You never really know if people are really going to enjoy it until you unleash it on them for the first time, and they get a chance to hear it. But you know you've worked hard on it, and you're gonna, the excitement of finally being able to get out and play that, or especially for people that are familiar with your music and able to share that vibe with you. Having confidence in that is essential, in my opinion. To the performance and the I guess spiritual connection that occurs. That's how I always felt that it was.
Yeah, I think that is
for your audience, man. That they're not just watching, they're part of what is happening at that moment, man.
Yeah, I think that's the best analogy that one of the best analogies that I've ever heard of it is confidence to arrogance, because that's so very true. I mean, I by myself on my side projects, I ended up a few years back. I had 2 external hard drives and die within 2 weeks of each other, and my laptop gets stolen, and I lost 36 songs that were nearly complete. They weren't complete because of the fact that I, by myself, lacked the confidence to finish them. They would have been fine. When I listened to them after they were after everything was stolen, and all I had was like the scratch tracks, I was like, these were fine. There was absolutely nothing wrong with them. I just didn't have the confidence then. But with my band, I had all the confidence in the world because I loved my band. I loved my band. I loved their music. I could push that like nobody's business.
Hey Kelly, let me ask you, what do you think the best Worlds Divide show was before that conversation goes in another direction?
Man, that's tough to say. I mean, you like different shows for different reasons. As far as if I had to choose one for my performance, I don't know, man. Before the overall performance of the band and the presentation in the show, I think actually our very last show, I thought it was great. The whole video introduction that had the sound choreography to one of our songs on our album, and us being able to execute from that into essentially starting playing the show with a giant drum roll, and being able to execute that. And we did a lot of things behind the scenes for our live shows, such as our drummer played to a click track, so that we were able to constantly stay congruent with what the music was. That was always a really big thing for us, is that we wanted the live performance to reflect what was on the album as much as possible. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because we played for many years before this album was ever released, and when people finally heard it, that was the one thing that they came back to said, other than hey, the album sounds great, but wow, you guys live, you actually sound just like this album. And that was really important to us. So
that is because there, Jared Dines did a video where he went through metal throughout a period of time, and then he went, it was like Gent in 2005, and they're showing some rhythmic stuff, and then 2007, and it was, like more technical with more singing parts and stuff. Then it went to Gent 2012, and everything sounded super, super tight. And then he went to Gent 2015, and he pressed the space bar. And that was it. Because there's, there are so many bands that cannot, they can't back what their album is.
Oh no, it's so overproduced.
Yeah.
To the point that it's just, it's absolute perfection. But if you can't do that every time,
Yeah,
or at least a good percentage of the time.
Yeah,
one of my favorite things is to this day. I remember I don't know why it irked me so much, but in one of the songs that I would do all the lows on certain lines and all the highs on opposite lines, and for some reason on that show, I did it reversed. And I remember kicking myself in the ass the entire show, and I'm like, God, I can't believe I did that. And Josh Carey came up to me, and he's like, that's one of the great things about a live performance, is it's going to be different, and it sounded great the way you did it, but it was not what I was expecting, but I love the fact that you did it.
Yeah, it's one of those things because of the fact that you want to hear a band that can pull off what they recorded, and at the same time, you get those moments... Those magic moments on stage in which something spectacular happens.
Yeah, you fucking whore.
Yeah, that was a spectacular moment for Danny.
At the end of the day, it is a metal show, and there needs to be a degree of spontaneity to it, a degree of wild spirit to it. You know what I mean? Just untamed release, because that's ultimately what metal is. I mean, that's what always attracted me to it.
What was your favorite band that inspired you to play?
It inspired me to play? Oh, God. I hate to go with a staple. I truly do, but I would have to say Metallica.
Nothing wrong with that?
No.
Yeah.
That's what got a lot of people with.
That actually, that's the same thing that got me. There was something to me about the fact, the way that they would play their harmonies, that sounded...
What album was it that did it for you? Let me ask you that.
It was actually...
And Justice for All?
When I heard the bass solo from Cliff Burton, I realized for the first time that the bass was something in and of itself that was a unique instrument. It wasn't just... I understood that it played a different dynamic of music, and it was just like a light bulb went off. Yeah. I remember the moment it happened. I was standing on my front porch with one of my friends going to, that I went to school with or whatever, when we were listening to Metallica, and that bass solo came on, and I'd heard it a bunch of times or whatever, and never thought anything of it, but for whatever reason, this one particular time, it really, awoke my mind to the fact that this isn't a lead guitar player, man. This is a fucking bass player that's doing this, and he's carrying everything, man. The bass, literally just took and created a song all on its own. I mean, even the drums.
Yeah.
And that very basic and simple, and it's just a simple beat.
Yeah, because outside of that, I mean, most of the 80s music and stuff like that, and it today, if you listen to radio rock, the bass is just going to follow the guitar, just thumping along, and Cliff Burton was definitely an amazing bass player.
Yeah.
There aren't words for him like that, and and like you're saying, for me, like the Metallica thing, it was to be able to hear something that was so harsh, that could be so thrash, and yet at the same time so majestic. The combination of all those things just hit me in the right way, and that was the band that got me.
Yeah.
Also, going back to what you were saying before about your favorite show, like that last show, I think that's a great fucking thing. Because a lot of the times you get, like that last show. By
the time it's the last show for a reason.
All future.
Hey, let me ask you. So, what were some of your favorite local bands?
Some of my favorite local bands. Definitely Screaming at the Silence. We talked about them.
Amazing band right there. Like I remember playing with Screaming at the Silence when they were like a pop punk band originally, and we
evolved a lot, man. And Mike is a badass. I love the sound of his voice, his talent, and his personality are all winners in my book. He's a good dude, straight from the heart. He really is, man. And I'm real happy to see those guys and gal are kicking ass and doing, because I really truly do enjoy their music, and certainly hope for the best for them. Other than that, I mean, Psycho Tribe, you got to throw it out there for those guys. I mean, they're probably the biggest local band in the area right now, and have been for a little while, and for a reason. They've kind of got a little bit of everything going on. They put on a good performance. They're, you can tell that they're players, and they get up there, and people love what they do, man. They're huge on helping the scene. Those guys and gals have really done a lot for other local musicians in this area, and really kind of kept the torch ablaze, man. They really have.
Yeah, I'll tell you, a lot has changed, because I fell off the map for quite a while. I ended up taking care of I'm taking care of my mom, and she's on dialysis and all kinds of stuff. And on top of that, I've got horrible anxiety problems and all kinds of things like that. So like once and Alpha stopped playing out live, I still kept making music and everything, but like as time went on, I started going out less and less in this, because I saw the scene was shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. So now I'm there's a lot of catch up for me to play. Like, I don't know a lot of the bands that are playing out now. I don't even know a lot of the places to play now, because
I'm
by
right
comparison.
there with you too, because after I left Broken Vial, I fell off the scene for a long time.
Yeah, and it's a strange thing to come back into. I think our connection to the outside world is through Phil.
And everybody hates me right now, so it's not a very good connection.
We're still grasping on.
But for me,
like we said in the last video,
honestly,
you don't have to like who you work with.
For me, Screaming at the Silence, I've been a fan of them for a long time. Another local band, I don't even know if they're still together, but they blew my mind, and they didn't even have a singer, and they were called Gladiator. They were just...
I've heard of those guys. How about De-Absolve? Now there's a band.
They are the epitome of... They are the heaviest extreme metal band in the area, that they know what they're doing. De-Absolve is just... I really got to give it up for those guys. They are insanely good.
They are really good. I enjoyed them from the moment that I heard them, and Worlds Divide, got to play a few shows with them before we disassembled, however you want to term it. And
I think that's a good term for it.
Yeah, it isn't really. There is no good term for it. But, at least, I was really happy to have shared this stage with those guys. They were good. They were cool, fun dudes to hang out with, and, they're very much about the scene, too. If you look at their posts on Facebook, and they're always trying to be real positive and real supportive.
Who's really... really always pushing the scene I see is Brian from Meat Space. He's in 3 bands right now, but I'll watch him just post band shows for bands that he's not even in. He lives in Sarasota, but I see him push shows in Tampa. And
there's lots of them out there, and that's what it comes down to. We were talking earlier about how metal is you're not getting paid much. It's a labor of love, and it's putting it back underground is what, and in a lot of ways it's getting back to its roots of how it started, man. And it's dudes and chicks getting into a fucking garage with shitty equipment, figuring out how to get better, and going out there and putting it up in front of people. And that's what it's all about. I mean, eventually you'll get good. I've seen bands that they started out and it was terrible, man. You almost feel bad for them there. But then you give them a year or two, and wow, look at them, man, they're kicking ass. You know, they've got their act together, their songs are better, you know, their performance is better, their confidence is there. They're, you know, and it's cool to see that, man, that people are still out there doing that. And as long as that continues to happen, it doesn't really matter whether people make a shit ton of money off of it or not.
It's not important to me. Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. You know, if you could, it'd be great. But if you really truly love what you're doing, you're not, you know, you're going to accept that. You know, it's probably cost you more than you're ever going to make from it.
Yeah, which honestly makes me very happy, because that was one of the things that I saw a lot when I was in Alpha was there was a large number of bands playing at the time and stuff, and there was a lot of preaching of family amongst bands, but everybody was talking shit behind each other's back about all these other bands. And from what I'm hearing now, it's much more of a camaraderie type of thing, because of the fact that it's not supposed to be a contest. You can like one band and like another one. Mm-hmm. You know, I think that's a really important distinction for people to understand. And it seems from what I'm hearing from, you know, like
camaraderie too. I mean, like Phil, you were you know, back in the day, dude, Broken Machine, Payload, Asylum 414. I forget who else. Oh God, what was the name of them? I'm gonna feel bad now if I can't remember the name of the band. Sonic was their singer.
Society's End.
Society's End.
Society's End. That was them. Those guys, man. You know, there was the Psycho Family thing going on. Or I don't remember exactly what it's called. Whatever. Point being, you know, that camaraderie of bands kind of cooperating with each other definitely went over well with people, man. And, you know, people totally, you know, will support a scene like that, and you're going to get more out of it as a band. You know, you're going to get more exposure. You're going to, you know, you'll have people that, you know, you want to put something together, a really good show together. You can do it. You're not scrambling to try to, all right, who am I going to find who, you know, it's like you could plan those events out. You know what I mean? And really make a nice thing of them. And, you know, everybody made a little bit of money. And, you know, a good time was had by all.
Oh, yeah, that was a big thing, too, for a while. I mean, some of the places, if you couldn't put up enough bands yourself to put on a show, they just wouldn't even bother. And for a lot of us, you know, during the Psycho Family thing, it was like, okay, well, who's available this week? Who's up for it?
Yeah, it actually
make a few phone calls and we have a show ready to go every day.
That actually, the way that went down, and and it's a thing that I could say that unfortunately, and Alpha pulled a lot away from whenever we saw a lot of infighting with people and stuff. Is that one? I'm horrible at networking. I always have been. I think we get that. At the time, I didn't say I had anxiety problems. But it wasn't just that. It was the fact that we saw a lot of that infighting. So we just tried to go and just play. We just wanted to play. Mm-hmm. And because of that, we ended up, I mean, like, so the shows that we ended up playing with, we played with a lot, you know, a wide variety of bands, and met a lot of really interesting people, and a lot of them were really cool. You know, sometimes, occasionally, we played one show at the Uptown where we ended up playing with, like, a skinhead band, which was really interesting because we had a bass player from Trinidad. But for the most part, you know, like, we played and we would play and, you know, get a positive response and stuff, but more so from watching, you know, like, you know, and talking to, like, Phil and Matt, did I actually get to see that there was camaraderie and that there was people getting together and stuff. And, like, I remember having barbecues over at Phil's house, and, you know, all these bands coming over and people talking and everything. And there's a part of me that was like, I really wanted to be involved in that, but my anxiety and everything would get in the way of that. And my whole band was kind of like that. But it actually, seeing that reminded me of whenever I used to go to shows when I was a kid. Like, when I was 16, like, you used to be able to go down to the State Theater and you'd see 5 bands for $5, and they would all be different, like different genres, every single one of them. And you go down there and you'd stay for the whole show.
Yep.
You know, like, it wasn't like you go and you see people they go to a show, they stay for the one band and they leave. Like, you stayed the whole night, you watched the whole thing. Some bands you might like, some bands you didn't. You watched the whole thing, though, and you're like, that was cool. And you got to see such a wide variety of things.
Exactly. It was enjoying it was enjoying a show. It was actually enjoying going out, watching live music. It wasn't going out to see that one band, and now we're done.
Yeah, that's the thing that I kind of hope to see in the future for us and for everyone and for everyone else too, because of the fact that just because we were playing playing heavy music, I like the idea of being able to play playing bands, not everybody on the bill is the same thing.
Yeah.
Like it being spread out and like hearing different things and growing your musical taste and being like, I like these guys, and they're all, everybody's doing their own kind of thing, and it's a great, show of artistic expression. And at the same time, you get that to get that release, like, of going to a metal show. Like, that was when I was a kid, that was a big thing, going to a metal show, getting in the pit. Now my knees will just explode, I'm sure. But like going there and that rush, and also that's another thing that, and you mentioned it earlier, was like playing on stage and it, like that explosion. And I think that's another thing that for us musicians is really important. I know it definitely is for you, Phil, and I've seen Matt nearly dead so many times that I know that it's for him too. But that was so important to me because of the fact that it is the only place in the world that you are allowed to be crazy. Mm-hmm. People actually expect it of you. The crazier you are, the better. So you get to let out all of that pent up everything and turn it into something positive. And
right.
You walk off, when you walk off stage and you feel exhausted, but you're like, I'm going to sleep tonight and I'm not going to, my life or responsibilities or pains aren't going to bother me because of the fact that I actually purged myself, was always such an amazing feeling.
And for me, it was always that on top of, if we weren't the last band of the night, recouping, getting out there and watching the next guys. Actually getting out there, watching another show.
Yeah, I used to love. That was one of the things that I used to love, was like in between, whenever we play with you guys or something, is in between going back and sitting at the merch booth, and just bullshitting with everybody, getting the chance to talk with, because all the band members and everybody would kind of mingle and like get to talk with everybody. While getting to see these shows and stuff, and people would be like, we'd sit there and you'd talk for a few minutes and be like, hey, how are things going, blah blah blah, so on and so forth, and then be like, oh, and then go up and check out the band and whatnot. Yeah. And
well, I think that's a big part of camaraderie too, in this, in everything that has to do with this. I mean, you go up there, you get your release out, you do your show, you play your, but it's such a great feeling for the other band to see the other people that's already played or haven't played yet come out there, come to the front, and actually help you.
Yeah, actually in the early days,
Well, I'm gonna cut everybody just real quick, and I apologize. Kelly, I know it's getting late. You've been on the phone with us for almost an hour now, buddy. I'm sure you've got other things you've got to do. I want to say thank you so much for coming on to this with us. We've loved having you on here, just chatting with you. Hopefully we can get you here in person sometime. Is there anything you want to say to the 5 people that are watching right now?
Go check out Worlds Divide on Pandora and iTunes and Amazon. And if you really want to check it out, some of the older stuff that's not on those areas, you can go to our Reverb Nation page. I believe our EP is up on there as well.
Awesome.
That's really cool. Do you have any plans for you gonna continue to play? And
right now I'm just focused on being a dad. That's kind of why I stepped out of Worlds in the first place.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Every single one of us here are parents. There's actually we had a We had a baby in the video earlier.
Yeah, you know, kids are awesome, and, you know, I want to just make sure that I can be the best dad that I can be. Right now, that means that, you know, I have to put my focus on that, and I just don't have time for music right now. I wish that I did.
Well, we will welcome you with open arms when and if that is the case that you're back.
Someday I will be.
Yeah.
When
Also, side note, there's a side project that I'm putting together. Then all of these guys will be involved with and stuff like that too. That's specifically just going to be for recording stuff and things like that. And it's going to be kind of like Team Cybergeist or like Pigface did, and it'll be a bunch of different styles with rotating members and stuff, just recording music and stuff. So maybe someday you might want to, you know, like
just slap of the bass on his record is what he's asking.
It's slap of the bass.
Get in touch with me, man. Let me know what you're looking to do.
All right.
All right, Kelly. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, man.
Yeah, it was a great talk.
Thank you.
You have yourself a great night, buddy. All right.
Oh yeah. Good night.
All right, night.
Yeah. Before we cut that there, I also in the early days when I used to go nuts whenever I was watching you guys and everything, I actually still have a scar right here
from Venom.
No, it was at Boomers. Some dude didn't take off his spike bracelet and caught me right in the and like it turned the edges turned blue, like it cut in.
Oof, it went
like
that bad.
Yeah, like that bad. But it got even.
Was it like as bad as Haunted House bad? Or,
No.
Well, yeah and no. Nobody cleaned it with vodka and gave me duct tape butterfly stitches, so I felt kind of cheated.
Hey, my mom was there for you.
Yeah, she was, and that was fucking awesome.